Welcome to another episode of You Are the Prize. And we decided we're going to get this started now with asking each other, what's making you feel like the prize today?
Yeah. Am I starting?
You are starting,
Okay.
yeah. What is making you feel like the prize today?
I had a great weekend. It was just one of those weekends where everything flowed and I said yes to things that I normally would have questioned.
Sure.
And
Do you want to say
a
any
dance
of them?
floor. Well,
There
a
we
dance
go.
floor
Yeah.
was involved.
Sure.
We love the dance floor. And I always just feel my most authentic self when I'm in a room full of strangers and I'm like dancing and moving my body the way that I want.
Yeah.
That was really great. And then this morning on the way over, I was trying to get through traffic and I merged and I didn't cut somebody off.
I love merging with air quotes.
I had my blinker on. It was a Los Angeles merge and this guy laid on his horn and I could have flipped him off and instead I did I love you. And he took his hand off the horn. He did I love you back and a thumbs up. And I felt like lead with love. And so that's making me feel like pretty good.
I love that. You changed that man's trajectory.
I hope I did.
I'm just assuming it was a man.
It was. Masculine energy. Yeah, and I was bringing the feminine.
Sure, I love it. That's great.
What about you?
You know, I'm at a good creative spot right now. I've got a lot of good creative output. I think I told you I pitched a second book. And there's maybe some interest, and I just feel like I have like stuff pouring out in lots of different arenas. Obviously, there's this. I think there's like a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Good momentum.
Great momentum, and I just feel like there's like a lot coming out right now, and I don't always feel like that. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the bigger thing for both of us today is. We're both feeling like the prize because Ginny Clarke is here with us today.
Yeah.
Ginny said yes to us is huge.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ginny did not say yes because of our huge reach yet, but because of alignment. And that's what we are here for. That's what we're about. And it's amazing to have you join us here today.
Thank you.
I mean, I know lots and lots of people know Ginny already, but for our audience, as we're growing, we want to do a proper bio so everybody knows all the amazing work you do.
Yeah.
Cool.
So here we go. Ginny Clarke is an executive coach and conscious leadership expert working at the intersection of identity, courage, and career development. After leading executive recruiting at Google, she shifted from talent placement to human alignment, asking not just who gets the job, but how leaders can live and lead with integrity. Through her 5 dimensions of conscious leadership, as the author of Career Mapping, and as a contributor to Brené Brown's Strong Ground, she brings depth, accountability, and compassion to the evolving conversation around leadership.
Thank you. That was really good.
We're so happy to have you. Thank you for joining us.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah. We want to talk about, obviously, leadership through a different lens.
Yeah.
Leadership that is not just strategic, but more soulful. And I mean, that almost feels like a juxtaposition, especially when we think about some of the leaders that we have in the world today, across all industries and everything. Right. It's like, there are certain traits, I think, that get people into these positions, but the people who are really good at it have something deeper.
Yes.
And the ability to connect on a level that is not just from the top down.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who are those people?
Well, I feel compelled to state a couple of statistics.
Yeah.
And they're dated, but I think the numbers have gone down. I'm referring to something that I always talk about when I'm addressing audiences. It's a 2016 Gallup poll that said that only 18% of leaders were considered good at leading. And they sort of conflate leading and managing, but we'll go with leading. 18%. I think that number is maybe half today, 10 years later. The other one that Gallup did is talking about managers, and it said that only 10% of managers have sort of the innate skills, come with the skills to manage. So where does that leave us? I mean, so
exactly where we are.
Well, and that's been my personal experience. I mean, 35 years in corporate. Before I was an executive recruiter, I worked in financial services at a bank at Chase. And I wasn't a teller, but I was this was in business school after business school, and then I was in commercial real estate with JLL, Jones Lang LaSalle, and then with Prudential Real Estate Investors. So I had a good 10 years before I became an executive recruiter, and I'm not here to sort of disparage any individuals. I'm really not, but the system, and over the 35 years. I did have some really good leaders. I actually did. But that's not the norm.
Right.
I got lucky. And I had a father who was an amazing leader, who was a correctional officer with the California Department of Corrections. And my mother was a physical therapist and an amazing individual and with leadership instincts. Both of them came through the civil rights era. It was all about service and that orientation alone doesn't get talked about in the context of leadership.
Right.
So that's just to sort of open the door to the discussion.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I think we've experienced what it feels like when you have a leader that, it's not great.
It's not
and
a leader.
it's like, have you had somebody that you thought was like a really, really great, I don't want to say boss, but somebody who would was pulling a team along as opposed to like pushing and ugh.
Yeah, I've had several, and I've had several that were really not.
Yeah.
Meant to be. And I think the thing that stands out about those who weren't meant to be is you can feel when they're in it for themselves.
Totally.
And when it's climbing a ladder and pleasing their bosses versus thinking about all the people that are enabling you to please your boss. And so, I've had a lot of great managers who I've felt seen and have helped me grow. And I hold on to those experiences, but I also hold on to the negative ones because when I was a manager, I thought I didn't want to be that way.
That's right.
And probably to a fault, I really put my direct reports and their feelings and experiences higher than the company's goals because you're not going to hit the company's goals if you don't have people that are supported and feel empowered and whatnot. So I always lead with levity and the bosses that saw that and appreciated that, I had a great connection with.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not that hard if you as an individual are grounded.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to people please.
Yeah.
You're not out for yourself.
Yeah.
Because your team immediately senses that.
Yeah.
I don't care how seemingly imperceptible that might seem to you, but it's just, to me, it's so obvious. If you want to lead, then be clear on who you are and lead from that place. And that was something that came to me during my time as an executive recruiter, because there was a time before I was recruiting that I looked around at some of the leaders that I had and I said, I'm trying to be on this trajectory. Like so many people see their career as this upward trajectory. It's okay if it's, kind of moving around and it's not linear. That's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But I kind of went, is that even something I want to be if that's what it takes to be that? Especially as a Black woman. Let's face it, I was different. And I concluded at some point, I don't necessarily want, if that's what it means, no.
Yeah.
But if I can redefine it for myself,
Right.
then that's what I'm willing to do. And so I had the unique opportunity once I got to Spencer Stewart, the global search firm, of being challenged by what I was going through personally. The intersection of having lost my mother a month after starting, raising a 1-year-old child, going through divorce, all in the first few months, in the first year, so to speak. I needed to ground myself in something because it's a very high stakes environment.
Yeah.
And people were gracious and they understood and all of that, but they expect performance.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like
Yeah.
you gotta at least show up.
Right.
And the only way I could think to do that was to ground myself spiritually, because of everything I had been through and having lost my dad 4 years earlier. That was the impetus for my spiritual journey. And then with everything else going on, once I started there, I had to just kind of say, I'm not going to be two people. I'm not going to be spiritual when I sit at home and meditate and then come to work and be this cutthroat person that I don't even identify with. So I somehow integrated it into maintaining my practices at home, meditation and seeing my healer, shaman, guru, but also being that, and I don't mean, like holy and walking around and like a monk and that's in this cutthroat environment. That would have been kind of a strange juxtaposition, but it felt better for me to be who I was, and people came to know me as, oh, I'm tough, make no mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I couldn't have gotten into that environment by being meek.
Yeah.
But I just have my own comfort level with who I am, and I think that is attractive to others. They want to work with you if they see that you said the key word, if you have integrity, if you're honest, if you're kind. Those things aren't actually, and I think a lot of people think that, well, you have to be tough and you have to beat people up, and that's leading with fear.
Yeah.
And that is not what I'm talking about. That is one of the most ineffective ways to inspire people.
Yeah, there's no inspiration there.
No.
That is just, it's the difference between the push and the pull, right? You want people to come along with you because they feel pulled to do so, not because they're afraid and they feel like they have no choice, but
That's right.
they are pushed into it.
Well, and the pull is in part based on the vision that the leader, and this is one of the differences between managing and leading, the leader is responsible, according to sort of the textbooks, and I think in practice, is really responsible for setting the vision. So there's a strategy that comes from on high, right? From the CEO and the senior most leaders and the board and all of that. But then it has to be made operational. The management is going to do the operational elements, but the leader's going to lead and manage. So the titles can be confusing, but there's accountability is the point.
Yeah.
And there's a clear strategy of where we're going. So when I was at Google, I had a team of 30, and I led and managed them, and I had direct reports, and I made sure that they understood where we were going, because that changed all. You both were in tech.
Sure.
Changed all the damn time, right? And so my point was, because I got yanked, I got whipsawed, and just because it was just so different from the environment I come from. And so I thought, no, let's bring it back to you do it your way. And so it became much easier for me to give my team the air cover. You don't need to know everything, because everything doesn't relate to you. You can read stuff in the newspaper. I'm going to tell you what I think you need to know. And you can trust me that I'm going to tell you the things that are important to what we do. And talk to people. Come to ask me questions. I won't lie. But I'm trying to keep us focused on what we're here to do.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't. A lot of managers and leaders don't have that orientation.
No.
And they get upset. I'm very much I would like to know the why, because it helps me figure out how to do my job.
Sure.
And there are managers that just don't want to tell you the why.
Maybe they don't know.
They might not, but also there's like a little bit of an air of that's above your pay grade or whatnot. And it's like, I'm not trying to get above my pay grade. I need to know the why, because then I can do a better job if I have the end of the story or where we're going to. And I think that's all
some of
part
that is just vision.
Yeah.
I mean, they could make that up. And I'm not saying they lie, but say you don't have to give away a trade secret to be able to say, this is directionally what this translates into is this way.
Yeah.
This is where we're going.
Yeah.
And this is how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Good or bad, but this is where we're going.
Yeah.
And, I just think that this notion of even pay grade is kind of simple.
I know. Yeah.
Get over yourselves.
Yes. Before we kind of move on, I wonder, were there bosses and leaders that stood out in your journey?
My dad was probably the most, I reflect on him the most, because he was a big man, and that's where I get some of my height. And I watched him. We lived on the grounds of one of the facilities when I was in elementary school in Norwalk, which is an interesting little town here in the region. And I would go visit him. And so I would see how his team would respond to him, see how he presented himself. And it was always with such respect, not just the team, the staff, but the wards of the state, the inmates.
Respected him.
They respected him.
Wow.
They did. And I could see it as a child. It was palpable to me. I remember he didn't, as he would say, he didn't take any guff, but he respected. He always listened. There's a story comes to mind that he told me years ago, where one of the team members came in irate and said, "Well, I don't want you," and you was wagging his finger at my dad. And my dad's sitting behind his desk. He said, "You done?" Man said, "Yes, I'm done." My dad picked up a letter opener and he leaned forward and he slammed it down into his desk. And he said, "Don't you ever come in here and speak to me that way." And I was like, good story, Dad.
Yeah.
I might take a page out of that one. I've never had to be so dramatic. But I mean, imagine the environment they were in.
Right.
You've got these were younger kids, but later on in his career, he was dealing with 21-year-old felons. And I worked in one of those facilities. He wanted me to work in one when I was in college. He wanted me to go to law school. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to law school, but okay, Dad, I'll take this summer job. Yeah.
What a summer job.
Right? I like to say it prepared me for the corporate world. Let's
Totally.
just say.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It was men on the unit that I was,
wow.
who were my contemporaries.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, we were talking in a few episodes about working in the restaurant industry as our first job, so I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Well, quick funny story in that regard. This was up in Sacramento because I went to UC Davis, and so I would commute to Sacramento for the job. And we had to walk to the dining hall, whatever, right? Get in formation and walk to the dining hall. And I think there were 2 or 3 staff members. And coming back, these 2 guys fell out of line. I'm like, wait, what are you doing? Where are you going? They were escaping.
Oh.
And I'm like,
Oh no.
what? It's hilarious now because they had somebody there waiting.
It was a whole
setup planned out, and I think they probably planned it with my sorry ass as the weak link.
Yeah.
The girl, when that girl, and everybody knew my father. He had retired by then, but he was legendary in that sector. So I'm sure although I don't know if they cared, but the staff certainly knew my dad. And do you know they sent me out with another person to go look for him?
Oh my God.
No weapons, just like, pepper spray or something.
Yeah,
I'm
what
like,
did you do
"Come
when you
here."
Yeah, what were we gonna do? Yeah.
It was my mother was terrified and
sure.
just furious with my father for subjecting me to that. We didn't find anybody because they were halfway to San Francisco.
Sure.
So I was not harmed. But it was pretty comical to me. My mother just was like, "Oh, I can't believe you did that." I said, "Mom, I'm all right. It's okay. It's good training."
Sure. Even at that age, though, did you know, like, this will be good for later? I'll learn
That's
something.
right. Oh, I did. Because I took everything, and I trusted my dad. I knew he wasn't going to put me in harm's way.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I don't think he staged that escape necessarily, but
But he could have.
we'll never know. Yeah, but that was a funny one.
Wow.
And how soon after that were you like, I'm out of here?
Oh, I'd let him know, Dad.
Yeah.
Jack, my brother. My brother is a junior. He's the lawyer.
Yeah.
He went to law school. I'm like,
Perfect.
cool. You good? You happy? Because I'm gonna go over here to business school and do my thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Goodness.
Those are great stories.
Got a million of them.
And probably, you're right, it did prepare you for the corporate world.
Oh, yeah.
And leadership.
The unexpected.
The-
Sometimes you don't know what's going to happen, and you just have to be prepared. You pivot.
Most of the time, you actually don't know what's going to happen. We all like to think we know.
Yeah,
But we don't. And I think that there is you think you can relax because you know what's next. And you're almost never right. But we get rigid and want to.
Well, especially those in leadership roles, I think one of the things I see, because through coaching certain folks, there's this self-imposed notion that they're supposed to have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, then why do you have all these people reporting into you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just simply that. Why are you supposed to bear the weight of solving this big problem?
Right.
You have a network that you can tap into to get ideas. You might be the one to make the final call.
Yeah.
But you don't have to know. Don't put all that pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
you got all these people that you hired because you said you thought they were smart, and if they're not, then you shouldn't have them.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that a lot of people in leadership roles forget. And notice I say people in leadership roles versus leaders sometimes, because
Yep.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that position is deserved, it's earned, and I think a lot of people they don't deserve to be called leaders.
Yeah. Well, often, Alex and I work with a lot of startups and founders, and those people are in leadership roles because they had the idea and
That's
they
right.
started that company. And, the best companies succeed because they are smart enough to bring in other people
Yes.
with other specialties but there's this idea in Silicon Valley of like founder mode.
Oh, yes.
And that you never stop being that deeply involved in every discipline.
Yeah.
Which
It's just not
it's-
possible.
it
It's
is
not
not.
possible.
It's not.
no,
yeah.
and it feels so ego driven.
Well,
to
it
me.
is.
Of like you,
because I
just
think it
because
is.
you had you had the idea, and so that means that you understand absolutely every area of the business when that's not your expertise is wild to
Well,
me.
not to mention the fact that there are an infinite number of variables coming from every angle at every moment of the day. Don't tell me you could have anticipated all those things. And why do you have, once again, why do you have all these people?
Exactly, who are smart and have
You're
great
tapping it-
experience
yes.
and like understand these areas. So, yeah, I don't know any other explanation but ego, and we could probably
Ego.
go down a whole
Yeah.
road on that. But we are more interested in getting into fifth dimensional leadership with you.
Wonderful.
Because that, for you to realize that you needed to bring your whole self to
Yeah,
work,
yeah.
that into what you do now, what was that? How did you get to this place? How did the 5 dimensions come to you?
The fifth dimension is said to be, for most of us, we live, although present company included, most people live in the third. And the fifth is unity consciousness. It's love-based. It's not ego-based.
Right.
And that resonated with me because I thought that's where I want to live all the time.
Yeah.
And I want to bring that lens into the leadership space, because imagine a world if we had these people in the leadership roles who had that orientation, where it truly was love-based, and people don't talk about love. And my time at Google was the capstone to my corporate career, and I thought I got to see a lot, right, in terms of how leaders actually operate. Because, I did at Spencer Stewart because I was working with a lot of different clients, and so different kinds of companies. So that was huge because I worked on several hundred searches and got to meet thousands of senior execs and assess them. And I was trained to do competency-based assessment to really suss out, are you a subject matter expert? Great. Now let's talk about your leadership competencies. They're different. And so at Google, it was very different because the orientation wasn't necessarily around leadership competence. And I think I'll speak about my assessment of the tech sector in many, many companies. It's not, but this was the lens that I was looking at it through. And it was that, how smart are you? What schools did you go to? That will tell me. It's very engineering, very technically oriented, right? And so people come in with that expectation that, okay, well, then you deserve to lead this group. But it's not just your intellect and your functional expertise, your domain expertise. It's how do you lead? It's the how.
Yeah.
And that's what very few people don't understand and haven't been assessed for, and unfortunately aren't trained for. So, and I'm not letting them off the hook necessarily, but I think too few people in leadership roles have had good models, nor have they had training. So they get into these roles and like, okay, go. And then a lot is forgiven as long as they hit the numbers.
Right.
The how, how does your team feel about you? Well, I don't like it. Well, that's not good enough. You're going to get dinged because that's important. And we'll work with you to show you how to gain favor with them. Because, it's not about being liked, it's being respected.
Yeah.
Being respected for being kind, for being honest, for being trustworthy, all those things. So that was part of how I got to this notion. And because I thought, if I wanted to kind of design a template for a leader, what would be the characteristics, the attributes, competencies aside? Important, those are still there. But what are the attributes of someone? And I came up with, I wanted to have 5. So I started with know yourself. Because as I looked around, I thought a lot of these people are they're faking it. I mean, their identity is their resume, and they don't actually know who they are.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is number one. These are sequential.
Yeah.
So first, you need to know yourself. You need to speak your truth, meaning you need to be able to say what might not be popular, but what's important. Because you know yourself so well, you know that this is true for you. And you need to be able to say it boldly.
Yeah. And people, sorry to interrupt.
No.
If people aren't 1 and 2, they have a hard time hearing
That's
when
right.
you do speak your truth.
They won't believe you.
Yeah, they won't believe you. Yeah.
Yeah. It's real simple. And the third one is inspire love. And that is, I try to lead with love. Love doesn't have to be mushy, you know. We've seen these people who are just obsequious, you know, just no. That because you don't know yourself, you're faking that.
Right.
It comes from this genuine place. I have love for humans and beings because there are probably other forms of beings among us. I believe there are, but I have love, and I believe that that is what makes this entire planet, if not universe, work.
Yeah.
I think we deny it, we abuse it, we do all kinds of things, we avoid it, we don't know that it's relevant, we cast it aside. To me, it's one of the most important things, but it's got to come from the deep place of knowing who you are and being able to articulate that. And then I go to know yourself, speak your truth, inspire love, expand consciousness is 4. And that's where I'm saying, again, this is an infinite spiral. This isn't a line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're done, I'm here. You never arrive. It's infinite. Yeah. And so I just want people to continually question themselves. And, you know, for me, it's meditation every morning where I tap in and I hear different things and I get different messages. And I just want us all to be able to go to that place, wherever it is, in whatever form it takes, to keep expanding. And keep learning is a practical element of that. And then the last one is activate mastery. And I think a lot of people think of mastery as being expert at something. You know, you've earned it, you go from here to there, and again, you're done. To me, the mastery is really, we're coming back around to this notion of you, and I think in terms of ascension, I think I'm going upward. And I just want people to feel as though, yeah, I've gotten to this level. It's my levels. Again, it's not like you're a level X in a company and then you get promoted to a level. No, this is all your growth and expansion at your rate, guided by whatever forces are important to you. And so, and it's all yours. It's no one can predict this. The measurement is, you know, it's not like at work where you get your rating. No one's rating you. You'll know when you're growing. You know because you cease to have fear.
Yeah.
You cease to have anxiety. You stand in your power and your truth. And imagine a world where leaders were doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, and inspiring other people to do that. Yeah.
You're radiating different. Your energy that is it changes. It's perceptible. I've had people say to me, "You radiate." I'm like, "Wow, thank you."
Yeah.
It's you can't try. You can't fake that funk. You know, it's and I think I noticed babies look at me. I was just in the airport, and this little tiny baby in a stroller, eyes just kind of lit up and looked at me, and I just thought, it's my energy.
Yeah.
Because they see it. They're pure souls, and if we could get back to that.
Yeah.
You do radiate. When we talked previously, you're like a scroll stopper. There's something that kind of naturally comes from within you, and I think, especially if you're tuned to it, it really just stands out and stops people in their tracks.
Thank you.
And you mentioned when we did our little pre-show that there was a time when you were a little girl that I think you were looking in the mirror and can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. Grew up in Riverside, California, and was sitting at my little vanity, you know, with the white mirror and the little white bench. And I just stared into the mirror, and it felt like an eternity. It's probably 5 minutes, but I just stared into my own eyes. And I just had this sense of calm. I just knew that I wasn't alone. I knew that there was something, I was more than my parents' daughter. And it was just a moment. I've never forgotten it. I mean, it's been decades, but it still was that signal that there's something bigger, that is protecting me, that is good. And I hold on to that, you know, especially having lost both parents, and we're all going to lose our loved ones and our parents. But I think it's the reminder that you're never alone, you know, and I think if more people would allow that for themselves, if we'd stop scrolling, stop looking away, get off the phone. I was behind someone in the airport today, and his head was down, and I'm thinking, you're about to walk into somebody. His head was down the whole time. It's like, wake up to just even who you are.
Yeah.
I think so many of us are light beings, and we don't. You are, both of you.
Thank you.
You have the light in you that says, I want more for not just myself, but for the world.
Yeah.
I'm here to channel goodness.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make us weak. Actually, it makes us pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my I call it my Alice in Wonderland moment, where I just kind of, I just had to, I went into that space. I was probably 10 years old.
And has that been consistent, like from that moment, or were there moments where you had to remind yourself, you know?
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know that, for me, it felt like fits and starts, because we're thrust into this system that seeks compliance and conformity. And I knew I wasn't average, and that there was a part of me that wanted to be average and not stand out.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be tall. I didn't want to be whatever other people expected of me. I didn't want to be smart. You know, it's like, can I just be like, I was telling somebody, my dad once said to me, why do you get B's? I was in high school, and I was in advanced placement and, you know, all this stuff. And I hope I don't sound like I'm bragging, because I didn't care, and I didn't want to be, because I didn't want to stand out that much. I didn't like the idea of being, oh, you're so smart. And it's like, okay, if you say so, you know.
You're like, what does it get me?
Yeah, exactly.
Usually made fun of, or teacher's pet or whatever, yeah.
So I had these B's, and my dad, true to form, and I'm a daddy's girl, so I could do no wrong. I don't know that he ever yelled at me, ever. He revered women, that was part of it. I mean, he was just, you know, wonderful with my mom and the whole bit. So that helped. But what's with the B's? And I'm like, well, Dad, you know, I had an answer. I just want to, as I get ready for college, you know, I know that they look for extracurricular activity, so I want to make sure that I'm balanced. And I knew it was
You're like,
nonsense.
it's strategic.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
I still didn't try for A's. I actually didn't.
But you knew you could.
He checked me, though.
Yeah.
He checked me. He knew. He always knew. He was one step ahead of me. Because he understood young people. That was part of it. That was a benefit. I remember we would always host a holiday party at my parents' place. And my friends, this was long since I was even out of high school, and my friends would drive an hour to come be with us. It wasn't just me or my brother. They wanted to see my parents. Because they loved that my dad was curious. He would literally, there'd be people almost like at his feet, and he wasn't talking that much. He was listening. And so I had that background, that orientation, that, you know, honor the elders and understand and take advantage of the wisdom that's coming your way. And I understood that as their daughter. My parents were older when they had me and my brother, so we had the benefit of that wisdom too.
Right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Sweet story.
Yeah. I always wonder if people are like, you know, we all have this like set of circumstances that we come from.
Yes.
That is the foundation, whether you like it or not,
That's right.
of where you end up.
Yeah.
But it sounds to me in everything that you've described about your father, it's like he embodied all five of the...
He did.
It's like that was your
I hadn't thought about
prototype.
it that way. Yeah.
And you built this thing that now, you know, is this beautiful platform for other people to aspire to. And that it's like, that feels divine.
It does feel divine, because my mother had it too. And she's probably a really good example, being a healthcare worker, of someone who wasn't in a leadership role. I mean, she led as a physical therapist. She worked in a hospital and she treated the people assigned to her. And she did it with such grace. I mean, years later, I was in Chicago working with someone as a candidate, and he said, "You said you're from Riverside." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Your name is Clarke." I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know, my mother, before she retired, worked for visiting nurses. And so she had some patients out and around the Inland Empire. And she said, was your mother Liz Clarke?" Now I'm by now in my 40s. And she'd been gone for a while. And I said, "Yes." He said, "She treated I think it was his aunt." And he said, "I'll always remember the way that the care that she took with her, because that was her orientation of service and precision and understanding her craft better than anybody else." And so it was just one of those, as you say, it was sort of a full circle moment because I don't know that I ever thought of it that way. So thank you for the fact that my parents did embody every single one of these dimensions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's making me think now of, this new book that you're working on that is for the 95% of people who are not in a CEO, C-level suite. Most of us are not.
That's right.
In that quote unquote leadership role.
That's right.
But still, we all lead. We lead in whatever position that we're in, not just professionally, but people lead in different ways. And so
teachers
to bring that, to bring those, the idea of fifth dimensional leadership to the rest to every single person.
Yes.
That's a big idea.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
I want it to be a movement.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by Dr. King regularly. And sometimes I almost hear him I mean, over this shoulder, in fact. He's probably here now. But it's about peace. It's about activating the good in all of us. We all have it. I believe we do. Even people that are called the bad seeds, there's a reason. And we need to develop tolerance. We need to develop acceptance. More than just tolerance. Sometimes you can only tolerate somebody. Yeah. But I think about it in the context of the workforce where, when they're talking about, dare I call it, diversity, equity, inclusion, and a lot of that was tolerance. It was never real acceptance. But I just think that we need to get to this place where we appreciate one another and start trying to optimize in the workplace. This is what I've told several leaders that I coach, in fact. Most organizations are not optimizing their talent. And I don't mean it from just a pure productivity standpoint, but you've got people who have skills that have never been tapped because no one's asked them. Yeah. Because no one has told them what the longer term vision is, such that they might say, I have something that you might be able to leverage. Because they haven't inspired their teams in a way that gives them the feeling that they can say that you know? So I talk a lot about systems. I'm a systems thinker, and a lot of the work that I did, particularly at Spencer Stuart, was looking internally at why people from underrepresented backgrounds weren't being presented as candidates who were perfectly qualified. No one's ever looking for preferential treatment here. But as recruiters, we're supposed to be finding great talent. Well, talent is everywhere, and it looks like everything. So I just felt as though it was important for us to understand that from a systemic orientation. What are the processes that are in place? What are the accountabilities? What are the expectations? And again, at Google in particular, where I had to present some of the data to the senior leadership team about where we were going with regard to diversity and hiring at the senior ranks. And then I looked around at, well, if you're not checking it here, I can only do so much. I can present talent to you. But are you going to hire it? Are you going to develop it? And I hate calling it it, but he or she or they. We need to get honest about what we've allowed the systems to become, and how I think the 95% can be a part of changing them, because they're in some cases victimized and terrorized and demoralized. The level of disengagement is incredibly high. And that's not, we have just bad people who don't care and only want to get a paycheck. it's because we don't have systems that are inspiring and encouraging and developing people and optimizing them for their sake as well as for the purpose of serving the organization.
Yeah.
It's my hope.
Do you think people who don't have direct reports can impact the culture?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's not about where you are in the organization. It's how you show up. It's what you say. I think even individual contributors, they don't work in a vacuum. They're interfacing. They might not have a team per se structurally, but they're interfacing with people. They might be subject matter experts, and they need to be able to communicate and radiate, that openness, that awareness, the ability to inspire and elevate and share and develop just as much as anybody else. And because that's how they're going to get measured. And the likelihood of somebody wanting to pick up from what they've learned or created increases if they have a holistic sense of not just themselves, but what's going on in the organization. Organizations are people.
Yeah.
Right.
They're people, and we think it's it. No, it's just like this is a house. It's a frame. It's a house. It's not a home until there are people.
Yeah.
So I think we forget that, and we just, we get kind of caught up. But yeah, that's my sense of it.
I think, one of the things that we have been sort of joking about is that our secret mission for this podcast is to get people to, leave a job you don't love. But we also know that that's not possible. That is
Sure,
like
not
that,
for everybody.
You
Very
can't.
few.
And so it's, how do you get aligned inside of an organization where it isn't naturally aligned? To get yourself in a place where you feel like you can be yourself, you can bring your full self.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you live in that tension if you can't just bail? Which, I love to quit things. That's the thing about me. But if you can't quit, how do you stay and make it feel right?
I have spoken up. I've spoken my truth sometimes. Don't stay quiet. There's a way to be constructive. I'm not talking about be confrontational and angry and demanding, although it might come to that. But look around and see where might you be able to affect change? Are you the only one? Can you forge some alliances with people that people that you don't normally talk to or interact with? To see what could we change? Why do we do things this way? If it's not serving us as employees, how well can it actually serve our end users? That's kind of what I wonder. So that's one. It's think in terms of don't see yourself as just the only one. You're not alone in this. There's that connective tissue that makes it an organization and not just a bunch of individual contributors. I had someone say to me, I might have shared this with you, and we spoke earlier. When I was at Google, a woman said to me, and I'd done a little bit of work with her, and we went out for a drink, and she said, it's my observation that you have your ear to the ground. I said, oh, okay. Thank you. She intended to be a compliment, but I was still relatively new. What she was saying was, I want to benefit from what you perceive. She was in HR. I was in HR for the first time in my life because executive recruiting is a professional service. It serves HR stuff. And so I said, thanks, and I'd be happy to share some of what I know. But I think she understood, I didn't have to say this, but I'll say it for the benefit of the audience. Part of what that means is that I'm trusted. People tell me things because they know I'll be discreet. That there's nothing in this for me. To the extent that I can help you by what you shared with me, then I will. If I can offer you some advice with what you might have shared, then I will. But it was just an interesting observation. And I think more people need to develop some of these relationships across cultures, levels, identities, And I just don't think people do that when they're, well, this is my team and this is where I work. No, go grab lunch with somebody that you worked on a project with last year that you haven't seen. Ask them some questions about that. What issue, your challenge you're working on that your boss didn't explain to you very well. They might have some insights that can help you. This isn't a conspiracy. This is, if you're getting everybody aligned, then the organization benefits from this. And that's part of the problem with some of the rigid hierarchies that are imposed in these organizations. They're a throwback to the military, because that was all we kind of knew. During the industrial age, it was, well, we need this pecking order to be able to control.
Yeah.
It's less about control now. It should be. I think some leaders still think it is about control, which that's a fallacy. And it's more about activating. We want productivity. We want all this stuff. We're running people into the ground, and we're not necessarily getting the benefits. We don't need to run them into the ground. We don't need to run faster all the time. We need to just go a little deeper, and we need to support people in a way that honors their humanity.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that feels missing from so many companies is just understanding the humanity of the people you work with. And I'm always trying to have as much fun as possible. And I'm like, you can only have fun with people when you can get to know them on a deeper, more intimate level, and acknowledge when things are hard.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone is always wants to appear to have it all together, because the expectation is that you can do anything. You should be just always up here, and that is
not possible.
It is not sustainable.
Absolutely
It is.
not.
You can do anything for a short amount of time, but it doesn't last, and people get so burnt.
Especially when you have a performance review breathing down your neck, or you step 1 foot out of line. It's like you're not seeming like a team player this week, and it's like, well, you know what? Guess what? I killed myself last week for something, and I just can't do it.
Right.
And there should be space for that.
Yeah.
Refuel moment, and anyway.
No, it's so true. No, but if people are, again, it's being perceptive and being tapped in, and dude, you did a great job last week.
Yeah.
If you need to take a minute, dial it back, that thing I gave you and asked you to do, don't worry about it this week, okay?
Yeah.
What are we running for?
I mean, it seems like things are only getting crazier, and the expectations are only getting higher, and we don't need to run down a whole AI cul-de-sac here, but it's the promise of AI and what people are excited about is the idea that it will free us up.
Yeah.
It will make things that we don't want to do, we can offload that. But I'm all I am seeing is people being expected to do more in less time.
Well, the 699, I remember.
Did you remember what the other
I think
9
it's
was?
6 days a week, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Oh, that's what it is.
No.
That's what a lot of the AI groups are now.
And so if that's how the people who are creating the technology are working, when's
When's the trade-off?
does it go the other way?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot that feels almost contradictory in what's being projected. One of the things that I think a lot about is doing away with the whole entry-level roles. Okay, so 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when these people who are in director roles, if we kind of still conform to the traditional levels and all that hierarchy, some of these folks want to move up, out.
Who's going to fill? Yeah.
Who is going to fill?
And with what experience? It's people are missing all of the, and it's usually what they're missing is the human aspect.
Human
it's
decision making,
Yeah.
all of these competencies that they haven't developed. And I also go back to, and I just recorded a video on this, an apprenticeship model. Because I had that at Spencer Stewart. It was, Spencer Stewart was very much like a consultancy, almost like a McKinsey. In fact, the CEO's dad had run McKinsey, which meant that leadership took an active role in training. So a lot of the training, they came to the sessions with the latest class of new consultants. And we were assigned to someone who was a mentor early on. We had, for the systems, we had people who would literally come to our desk and sit down next to us for X number of hours to show us the systems. what was expected. So it felt, for me as a systems thinker, it was very comforting because I knew what was expected of me. It was very clear. And everyone was expected to support the new people because we worked on different assignments. You got evaluated on how well you supported these different people on these different assignments. And I just think we don't do any of that. And part of what I think it links back to what I was saying earlier about these individuals, you taking responsibility to look around and identify people, offer some of your skills and insights to people that you might not know or necessarily work directly with, and start building your own network to learn and develop and grow. I wish that leaders and the organization put a higher value on that and had more organized structures to develop that. But in the absence of that, do it yourself. Figure out where, first of all, I have to say this, what do you want? Because if you don't know where you're going, and I'm not just talking about, I want the next level, I want to get promoted. No, think out. What is it? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it taste like for you? Forget about whether it's here or elsewhere, because so many people get locked into, well, this organization, I want to stay here for 10 years, or I can only do finance, or I can, whatever the lock is that you have in your mind, dismiss that. I told you, I've been in, like 4 or 5 different industries and 7 different companies. I have a very nonlinear path. And someone looked at my resume and said, well, you really meandered, haven't you? And
yes, I sure did.
I said, no. I said, I don't see it that way at all. I was deliberate. I knew what I wanted to do. I got into one thing. I did it. I learned it for X number of years. Minimum of 4 years anywhere. I'm like, this doesn't suit me. I want to do this. It's adjacent. How can I maneuver myself to get those opportunities? So I created every single opportunity. The last one, Google called me. But short of that, I decided what I wanted. I talked to people who facilitated introductions that got me the jobs that I was interested in. And I think that's going to work more now than ever. And I don't want to sound contradictory because I'm big on a meritocratic system. Merit matters. Competencies, all these other attributes that I talked about, which are the softer stuff. Fit, I don't love that term because it suggests that there's a structure, a norm. I think the range is, the norm has a much broader range than what most people give it credit for. But I just want people to make certain choices for themselves and own it and go for it, based on the competencies that they've developed. Competencies are separate. They're the deconstructed elements of how you do something. So the fact that I was in these other sectors and functions, I was able to talk about them such that they were relevant to this new thing that I decided I wanted to do. And that's why I talk in terms of people needing a narrative. You tell the story of the through line for somebody. Because they're going to look, the most people are basic. They look at, have you done this before? You've had that title. Okay. You look good. You're hired. And half the time, it's not a good fit. I just said I don't like that. But it doesn't work out because the assessment has been flawed. The person isn't flawed. They missed an opportunity to explain themselves better. But the organization didn't really align and set forth the expectations sufficiently to make it a good alignment.
Also, it's funny to me that this linear trajectory is supposed to be like, that's what we're all supposed to do, when doesn't that sound boring?
Real boring.
To just get to be like director, senior director of the same shit. I'm sorry, but a nice meander is where the fun happens. And I wouldn't call it a meander, but I would call it it's kind of like
the way he said it.
It was
derogatory.
No, but that's not what I.
No, not you.
Oh,
the person said it to me.
Yeah.
He was kind of like turning up his nose, like, you just are you meandered.
That feels like you went with the wind.
It was intentional.
That's what I told him. I'm like, no, I made very clear choices. I knew exactly what I was doing. And I said I had the courage to change, and that is what it takes. But you can do it, especially now. And I think everybody's panicking. AI is going to replace me. I'm not going to have a job. And it's like, decide what you want,
Yeah.
and go make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yeah.
I still believe it. I really do. But we need the organization at the organizational level, at the hiring level. We need people who are paying closer attention to all of this, because that's my frustration, that a lot of the clients that I had didn't care about the assessment, the full assessment that I might have made on these candidates that I was presenting. They're like, we just want somebody who's done this, 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 and this. I'm like,
It's not how it works. Yeah.
you're missing out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's the thing. It really is just like, it's a shame. It's a missed opportunity
it is.
to have the right person who then is working in a way that brings the whole team up.
Right. Isn't that what you want? I
Yeah.
mean, that makes everything better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of conscious meandering,
That's a new term now.
I like it, yes.
I'm curious how your experience, your meditative practices, all these things helped you meander from Google and that what you kind of labeled as the capstone of your career into what you're doing now. Where did you wake up one morning and say, this isn't it, I want to go move on to something else? What did that look like?
Yeah, it was, I just started doing a lot of reflecting on not just Google, not just the tech sector, but the entirety of my career of the 35 years. I started thinking about who was I, who have I become, who do I want to be, how do I want to serve, and what have I learned? And it evolved, and then I started speaking. I moved back to Chicago, so I needed to be closer to my tribe, my closest friends, and my sort of master guru. And the speaking helped me do that, because I was with a friend referred me to a speakers bureau, excuse me, and I had worked with a speaking coach, and that was mostly around how do you compose a speech. And so not just stand here, do that. No, I was already pretty good at that, but it was how do you make it make sense and tell a story. And there are multiple approaches that can be highly effective, but I had to find my own, and it forced me to really think about just the full trajectory of my career and what did I want to say. And I have the benefit of, carving out 4 or 5 different talks that I can give that are all sort of in this space. And so I was on my own little journey as I started to put that together and stand in front of audiences and speak it over and over again. And it solidified a lot in me. And then I started doing the coaching, and then I started creating the content with my content creator for YouTube and social media. And now I have a community that I've started called The Awakened Path. And now I'm working on the book. And so all of these things fed on each other. It's all the same thing. And I want people to find themselves in the workplace, find some comfort, create the comfort for themselves. Stop looking to someone else to create it for you. Be the change, right? I know I'm borrowing that from maybe our favorite president. But it's an important message now more than ever. And I think we don't understand the full agency and power that we have as workers to do that where we are. I don't care if you're bagging groceries. That was my first job in high school. You do have agency. You have the power to say something. Like that really, the way you just handled that person, that concerned me. Did you notice that they had a special need or something? You know what I mean? There's in the moment to say something respectfully that's constructive to change that little thing, that seemingly inconsequential thing. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question.
No,
it's been a journey.
It totally did, and it really did. Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking, as I left Apple and I had that conversation with myself of what do I want, and that took 2 years to figure out.
It can.
What that framework means, what do I want, what do I value, and I got to, I got to a place that has now come to life through this thing and having intentional conversations and whatnot. But it all adds up to something bigger and a bigger picture. And if it is as inconsequential as smiling at somebody or, not flipping somebody off that's honking their horn at you
Yeah.
that might change their day. Like
Yes.
that really is what it comes down to. But you can't always figure that out unless you've gone through the journey and you pivoted and you meandered and all that. So
And you realize that you are coming from a place of love.
yeah.
Because let's face it, we're in these environments moment by moment. You just described one, just being on the highway as a Californian, you spend a lot of time there. and I was, people used to say, okay, my mother used to like grip the handrail. Now I don't have a car.
Yeah.
Not at all, I don't need one. My brother's like, do you still know how to drive? I'm like, oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But we all these little conventions, whether it's driving or being at work or dealing with a family, all these spaces where we have these seemingly different personas and versions of ourselves. Let's start to link all those and have that core be that love place that we're coming from, that place of calm and that sense of your own sort of quiet power that you got this. You've got everything you need. You're connected to something bigger. It's so gratifying and so peaceful when you're able to just kind of go, I might not have all the answers. I don't need to know the how, but I now know the what. For now.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah, because people also, that's part of the problem. They also want something, they have an ideal, these perfectionists. Well, it has to be perfect. Well, what the hell is perfect? What is
We've
it?
talked about that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a trap
It is
for a lot of
such a
people.
trap, and it also is this like destination that you're always supposed to be working toward of like, I'm not sure whose definition even, but it's like, it's supposed to be a place you arrive to, like happiness.
Right.
And it's like, that's not it at
No.
all. It's an ever evolving.
It is.
And like you said, it's having a core that is based on love and not having the answers, but knowing where you're starting from. Right. Like, that actually sounds real easy. If you just like,
Well, it actually is.
Sure.
I think we make it way too hard.
Yeah.
we do, because
Yeah.
if you just came back to, okay, who do I know myself to be?
Am I behaving that way?
Am I aligned?
Yeah.
Am I showing up as the
Yeah.
person I believe myself to be, who I want to be in this moment? And you killed it this morning. You
Yeah,
just
thank
like
you.
really, I'm like, that's Alex at his best.
Yeah. No, it really
And-
was. I was listening to Shaka Khan, I love you. I know you, I live you. And I was like, I'm not going to let this guy ruin my day.
Yeah.
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 It was so perfect.
We did not ask you earlier what is making you feel like the prize today.
It might sound like a platitude,
Hit
but
it.
the fact that I'm here.
Oh,
Here with you,
thank
here in my home state, here to work with my son on a conference that we're going to do together at UCLA. All of that. I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing these enormous lemons. It's just, I just feel alive. I'm in a beautiful place that feels like home.
Oh,
it's such an honor. It really is.
Truly.
Thank you for being here
Truly
with
an
My
honor.
us.
pleasure.
Yeah.
You guys are wonderful. I'm honored to be here.
Thank
really.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is great.
You can follow us on Instagram at youaretheprize_pod, on TikTok at youaretheprize_pod.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of You Are the Prize. Until next time, go do something that feels like you.
And we hope that means liking and subscribing. Find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube.
And don't forget to check out our other episodes wherever you get your podcasts.
This has been a Studio Stab production in collaboration with the Champ Effect and Alt Entertainment. Original music by Scott Martin.